Assalamualaikum and hi. See you again. In this chapter 11, Building Information System and Managing Project. Okay, as usual, we look at the student objective first. What are the core problem solving steps for developing new information system? What are the alternative methods for building information system? What are the principal methodologies for modeling and designing system? How should information system projects be selected and evaluated? And lastly, how should information system projects be managed? New information systems are built as solutions to problems. Don't start by thinking, oh great, we are going to develop a new computer system. Well, that problem belongs to the IT department. Nowadays, system development belongs to you as much as it belongs to the technical people. You have to work hand in hand with the entire organization from start to finish, developing a usable system that will serve everyone. The technical people alone cannot make a good system for you. You have to work hand in hand with the technical people. Okay? So, what's the problem? Okay, because we are now in problem solving and system development. So what's the problem? Answering that question is harder than you might think. You have to analyze the current situation to determine the real cause of the problem. You have to make sure you are addressing the real problem and not just the symptom. So effective system analysis adequately determining the real problem is the key. So in the IT world, that means following the first three steps. The first three steps: define and understand the problem, develop alternative solution, and choose a solution. In the problem solving process. Okay, in the problem solving process. Okay, look here. It will be easier for you to understand. Okay, by looking at this figure, developing an information system solution is based on the problem solving process. These three phase is called as system analysis. Okay, in system analysis, define and understand the problem, develop alternative solutions, choose the best solution. Okay, so you have to write down everything you do in the system analysis phase, in this phase, especially when it comes to determining what the real problem or opportunity is. Constantly review it throughout the rest of the system development process to remind yourself and others of what you are trying to do and where you are trying to go. So it's natural to stray from the path. Most of all, determine how your objective fits in with the rest of the current information system and also the business plan itself. Okay? Okay, now we will look in detail for step by step. The first step. What caused the problem? Defining and understanding the problem. So, figuring out who needs what information, where, when, and how will challenge the political dynamic of any organization. Actually, no system can answer every need. So, you are going to have to decide who gets what. Okay? That's why you must write down the problem and then keep referring to your notes throughout the development process. It is too easy to get sidetracked by politics. You must think and then rethink the proposed solution. Make sure you thoroughly investigate the information requirement that you are going to live or die by the outcome. Whatever happens at this stage will carry through to all other stages. Okay, so the final dilemma is whether a new information system is really the answer Would it be better to address the problem through management changes, more training, or changing existing organizational process? In next stage, developing alternative solutions. So the danger in solving problems and developing system is that only a single solution will be considered, when it's more likely that alternative exists that could help. So by using the effective system analysis, provide the organization with viable choices. Okay, let's read the slide. Path to a solution determined by system analysis. Some solutions do not require an information system. Some solutions require modification of existing system. Some solutions require new system. So it depends on your first stage in defining and understanding the problem. Okay, the next is evaluating and choosing solution. So, is the recommended solution even feasible? Okay, feasibility study. You have to make the feasibility study. Is solution feasible from financial, technical, and organizational standpoint? So, a feasibility study helps you determine if your proposed solution is achievable before you spend thousands of dollars. Okay? So, system proposal report. Describe for each alternative solution the cost and benefit, advantages, and disadvantages. Too often, organizations underestimate the cost of a new system, especially when it comes to people, training, downtime, lost productivity, and employee disruption. The feasibility study will help determine the economic feasibility of the idea. Okay? Some things got to keep with the new system. What are the changes? Who will manage them, and how will they be incorporated into the existing organizational structure? How much change? How much change can the organization handle monetarily and emotionally? Those are the questions that the operational feasibility study will help you answer. Next, implementing the solution. So now, congratulations. If you get to the system design stage, it means you managed to live through the analysis phase. Now you can get down to figuring out how the system will actually solve the problem or help you take advantage of new opportunities. Remember, your goal is to fit the system into the organization and not make the organization fit the new system. Or at least you want to keep them in tandem. That is, the organization should decide what technology is necessary, why the system capabilities can help to shape the organization. Okay? When we discuss database management system before this, we distinguish between two methods of viewing data, the physical design and the logical design. Okay? Physical design, how the data will actually be stored in the system. Logical design, how the data would look to the user. So use the same definition when you are designing your system and concentrate on the logical design. So the physical design should determine how the new system will support the current organizational structure, or spell out the changes in that structure that will successfully integrate the new system. Okay, in completing the implementation, there are several things: hardware and selection and acquisition, software development and programming, testing, training and documentation, conversion, production and maintenance. And lastly, managing the change. Okay, actually the first part of this chapter, your friend has presented to you in the class. Okay, hopefully I can give you better understand lah for the topic. Okay, so next is the SDLC, traditional system development life cycle. Okay, before we look into SLDC, okay, to conclude for the first part that I already explained to you, You should not look at the system development process as a straight line, okay, but rather as a series of steps to be revisited and repeated. Effective system analysis followed by adequate implementation will be successfully only if the changes are properly managed. The most important piece of the puzzle in system development is the user. Okay, that's why managing the change is very important. Okay, introduce the new system to the organization very carefully, taking into consideration the effect of the system will have on them and they will have on the system. Okay, now we move to the next part. Okay, the alternative system development life cycle. SLDC orders method for building information system. Phase approach with formal stages. Waterfall approach, formal division of level used for building large complex system. So this method time consuming and expensive to use. Okay, this is how the SDLC look like. Okay, the phases starting from the system analysis, system design, programming, testing, conversion, production and maintenance. So the traditional life cycle may seem rigid today. There are very definite roles for the technical person and non-technical person. In fact, the user is left out of the loop on a lot of the development and implementation. Even though end users of managers have to sign off and accept the system at the end of each stage, okay, they are not as involved in this method as some of the others we will look at later. So the life cycle approach works well for major system but doesn't fit the bill for smaller one. It's expensive, time consuming, and sometimes doesn't allow technical person and non-technical person to work together as they should. So the next method is prototyping. Preliminary model built rapidly and inexpensively. Okay. So this prototype fast, cheap and user-centered. Prototyping can be the best way to develop a new system if the end users don't have a clue about what they really want the end product to look like. Even if they have a few clues, this approach works well because the user can guide the process based on what they see as the system is built. Okay, so generally you use prototyping for very small system or small part of a larger system. You wouldn't want to use this method to build a company-wide information system. It can be too unstructured, making it harder to manage large projects. So prototyping works well when you are developing user interfaces and output report. Areas that the users will see the most. Okay, 4-step process involved. Identify the user's basic requirement, develop an initial prototype, use the prototype, revise and enhance the prototype. Okay, SDLC used for the big scale, this prototyping used for the small scale. These are the prototyping process. See, identify basic requirement of the prototype, develop a working prototype, use the prototype, user satisfied or not with the prototype, if yes, operational prototype, if no, revise and enhance the prototype, use the prototype again and evaluate again. Okay, okay, next, end user development. End user create a simple information system with little or no assistance from technical specialists. The end user development method of system development is a bit like prototyping, but the end user designs and develop the new system using 4th generation language tool. It's convenient for small application and the user can have complete ownership of the system. Okay, you develop by your own. Okay, the tools available to the end user are getting easier to use all the time and increase the likelihood that the system will meet the user specification because the user is building it. So there's no one else to blame if the system doesn't do what the user wants it to do. But don't attempt to build larger and more complex system using this method. The capabilities of these tools are limited. Okay, so the biggest danger is creating those island of information. What are the island of information? Because managers should be aware of some inherent dangers when allowing users to develop their own system. Standardization can be a tough issue. When you use this method of system development, you are almost begging for conflict in data processing and storage, because each user will have his or her own method for creating, defining and developing data. So actually, I'm not trying to discourage this type of system development. Okay, the advantages of having users develop their own products are tremendous. You just need to be aware of the risk. Okay, it's about the risk only. See, organizational risk. And user development tools cannot handle large number of transactions, extensive procedural logic. That's why not suit to the bigger scale often leads to a higher level of user involvement and satisfaction with system, but they have the risk. Okay, we mentioned earlier that software programs are becoming extremely complex to design, develop and build. So many companies either don't have the in-house staff, okay, to accomplish the task, or decide to focus on their core competencies and have to someone else develop the software they need. Sorry. Request for proposal. Just as you would for any piece of equipment, seek for request for proposal from several vendors to fully evaluate the software package according to your needs. Okay, you will give up a lot of control when you choose to go with a pre-written software package. Okay, well written request for proposal help minimize the impact. Next, the application software packages. Fast, easy, convenient, user driven. Okay, so generalized system for universal function with standard processes and customization. Commonly called off-the-shelf software, these packages can be the best method of creating an information system if that system is fairly standard across different types of business. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the system documentation, because that usually comes with the software. You still have to write local procedures for using the program, but you don't have to start from scratch. Training is easier because once you learn how to use the menus and toolbar in one program, the same skills can be carried over to other programs. So training manuals often come with the program or are available through online help function with the application software package. So application software package also provide an easier method of obtaining code correction, updates and enhancement. Simply go to the website of the company that wrote the software and download the latest version. Need technical support for the program? Log on to the web and you are there. No telephone calls, no waiting on hold for hours, no begging the IT staff to fix your problem. In fact, you will probably find answers to questions you didn't even know you had. Most of the shelf software can be changed. Okay, so you have to take what comes. Chances are some of your organization requirement may not be met. You will end up having to change your method to match the software instead of the other way around. Some software packages do allow some customization, but not as much as a program developed solely for your organization. Okay, this is about the customize. You need to customize the application software package to your need. Okay, but not all the application software packages allow. If allow, minimize. Okay, and then the next one is outsourcing. So what happens if an organization decides it doesn't have the in-house expertise to support the system development process or any of the system maintenance required? No problem. Outsource. There are hundreds of outside companies that will do the job for you. So these companies offer expertise and experience, often at a lower cost than in-house staff. They can also offer smaller organization economies of scale that make overall information processing cheaper. We have the domestic outsource. You can outsource in your country or offshore outsourcing. Okay, this figure show you the total cost of offshore outsourcing. Sometimes, outsource will be more relevant to your organization compared to the internal house that can build the system for you, because you need to pay for the technical person who develop the program for you. Many things lah, cost that involve. Sometimes the cost of outsourcing is better. Okay, next is mobile application development. People are moving away from total dependence on desktop and laptop computing to mobile computing access on iPad, iPhone, smartphone, tablet, mobile devices. So obviously the screen are much smaller on the handheld devices, so they must react and interact differently than those on larger screen. It's not enough nowadays to simply design one website and hope it works okay across multiple devices. Okay, so to accommodate the new era of computing, designers must develop a mobile website that is a scaled down version of the regular website. This site must also accommodate the smaller navigation area inherent to handheld device. Smaller smartphone screen make better use of multi-touch gesture than large desktop screen, although the new Windows 8 operating system will bring touch computing to the desktop. Still, mobile web apps must be optimized for specific tasks, but not too many at one time. They need to be designed for usability. Other features that are top priorities for smartphone screens and mobile web apps are saving resources and optimizing bandwidth usage, reducing the screen space, reducing the amount of memory necessary, improving the processing speed, optimizing and reducing data entry, reducing the number of user gestures required. Okay, so because there is no single standard for developing app, some devices must have native app available that operate on a single platform, such as the iPhone. Native app download and upload data and act on the data even if the device is not connected to the internet. So you have a choice. You can design 3 different websites for desktop, tablet and smartphone, or you can use responsive web design that enable website to automatically change layout according to a user's screen resolution regardless of the device used to access the site. Okay, so some advantages of using the responsive web design: uses a mix of flexible grids and layout, uses flexible images, okay, media queries and optimize for different viewing contexts, website automatically accommodate changing resolution and image sizes, eliminate the need for separate design and development work, users have access to a single source of content is easy to read and navigate with a minimum amount of resizing, panning and scrolling. Okay, so everything is flexible. Okay, if you refer to the text page 420, okay, what does it take to go to mobile? Okay, so this page explains how companies are developing mobile app or mobile website to accommodate the changing behaviors of users and customers. So by 2013, actually more people will use their mobile phones, they expect, okay, than PCs to go online, and there will be one mobile device for every person on earth by 2015, that is this year. So companies must adapt if they want to maintain their competitive advantage. Okay, next, rapid application development for e-business. Supply demand. The supply of technical specialists is not enough to support the demand for new system or maintenance of the old one. Something has to fill the gap. That's why you see so many new methods already on the market and more advanced, easier to use tools coming down the road. The shortage of skilled technicians is also why you see more and more companies moving away from the structured methods that we have reviewed. Okay, there just is not enough time. Okay, that's why the rapid application development introduced reduces the time it takes to build system by using many of the tools that we have discussed. You can choose from prototyping or fourth generation tools to develop system much more quickly. So end users and techs and the technical person can work hand in hand with joint application development. These joint application development tools, end user and information system specialists working together on design that can reduce the development time for new application. Okay, so that's all for rapid application development for e-business. And now, modeling and designing system. Okay, before we go to this modeling and designing system, okay, so before this we look at there are different ways to develop information system: prototyping, application software packages, and user development tools, outsourcing. So analyze each and then pick the right tools for the right job. Okay, it depends on the organization capability. Okay, now modeling and designing system. Just as there are alternative method for system building, there are alternative you can choose for modeling and designing the system. The structured methodologies. Okay, traditionally system have been structured in a very orderly manner. The methods used to build the system begin at the top and the progress to the lowest detail, always with an eye toward keeping the process separate from the data. The designers sketch out how the data move through the system by using the DFD, data flow diagram. The designers can easily track all the process and their interrelationship by using the data flow diagram. This is the data flow diagram. The data flow diagram can be used to help spot trouble areas before the system is actually built. Go and look for the DFD for you to understand what is DFD is all about. Okay, so the advantage of using the DFD is that they can be used to show a very general high level process of very minute detail using the same tool. So this is the structure chart, show the highest or most abstract level of design for a payroll system, providing an overview of the entire system. Process payroll, get valid input, get valid input, get input, validate input, calculate pay, calculate gross pay, calculate net pay, write output, update master file, write checks report and output file. This one is class and inheritance. So the class and inheritance describe how object-oriented programming uses object to develop a program. It may sound complicated to you, but it really is not. Okay, so figure 12.8 shows you how classes inherit the common features of their superclass. Take a few minutes to study it. Employee, salaries, hourly, temporarily. Classes inherit the common features of their superclass. This is the superclass. This is their classes. Okay. Object-oriented development. So uses the object as the basic unit of system analysis and design, class and inheritance. So object-oriented development combines the two and treats them as one. More importantly, the objects are created once, and if they are done right, can be used many times over. That reduces the cost of creating new objects once you have built up a library of them. It also makes it easier to create new software because you are not continually starting from scratch. Okay? So object-oriented programming has become much simpler for non-technical people to use. This type of programming treats text, table, pictures or groups of data as an object data that can be manipulated and programmed to do special function. It requires some in-depth training and time to learn, but it's very useful for small businesses or a particular department. It can save time and money by allowing the end user to develop a whole program without the help of computer professional. For example, the lecturer can develop the system and give to the organization. Next, computer-aided software engineering. CASE. What is CASE? Provides software tools to automate the previously described methodologies, reduces repetitive work in system development. So if we have automated just about everything else with software, it shouldn't be a surprise that we are also automating software design and development. We can automate. So this case provides developers with an easy to use method of developing software code that is well documented, well designed, and easily reused. So because software programs are becoming so complex, it's not unusual to have teams of programmers, okay, to develop the code. So case tool provide an element of coordination and management for the programming team. Okay, case tool also have key programming elements such as data flow diagram and data dictionary synchronize. Okay, case tool bring discipline and structure to the program design and development process that may otherwise be lacking. So case tool, in other words, facilitate clear documentation, coordination of team development effort, and modest productivity benefit if tools are used correctly. Okay, so what we already discussed is about new methods of developing systems that are continually being introduced. So these new technologies, rapid application development, joint application development, component-based development, web services, and case tools are reducing the time, effort, and cost for businesses and organizations of supplying employees, customers, and suppliers with the information they need. Let's look at the next part, the project management. Project management is application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to achieve target within specified budget and time constraint. So 5 major variables here: the scope, time, cost, quality, and risk. Scope is what work is or is not included in a project. Time is established time frame for each component of a project. Cost, the amount of time multiplied by the cost of human resources required by a project. Quality, okay, ask the question, does the project improve organizational performance and decision making? And the risk, potential problem that may threaten the project's success. Okay, so every project include these 5 variables. Determining project cost and benefit. Okay, Selecting project, making the business case for a new system. Simply say, it's not healthy for an organization survival to spend money on a new system if there is not a strong possibility the financial gain will outweigh the cost. Okay, so one of the more difficult choice to make when evaluating new system is to determine the tangible benefit versus the intangible benefit. For example, when a financial institution tries to decide whether to offer online banking, it may determine that it will cost $500,000 to implement. So the immediate cost saving of not having employees interface directly with customers may be only, for example, $250,000. On the surface, you could say that the new system is not worth the cost. The bank will lose about $250,000, but the intangible benefit the bank's customers may enjoy could potentially be worth $1 million. In that case, the new system intangible benefits will far exceed the tangible benefit. Okay? Okay, next, the information system plan. Too many companies buy the hardware they think is necessary for a new or improved information system. Then they purchase some software to go along with the new hardware. Now they realize their hardware is inadequate for the new software, so they buy more powerful hardware, and the vicious circle continues. Pretty soon they have a whole bunch of hardware and a lot of expensive software. But do they have an information system? Only if they have made sure all the hardware and software purchased fit with their organizational information system plan, and their people know how to use them. Of course, the information plan should support the overall business plan and not conflict with it. The plan must include all levels of organization, including the strategic and also the executive level. Okay, next, portfolio analysis. The scoring model. Okay, the portfolio analysis shown in this figure allows a company to objectively rate multiple projects for their risk and potential benefit. So companies too often get locked into just one idea without understanding that multiple choices exist. There is always more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, so the scoring model is very effective for comparing various alternatives in terms of their costs. This model can go a long way toward helping organizations determine the best course of action and quantify their decision making. And if nothing else, it creates dialogue among the managers about strategic factors that they should consider for the good of the firm. Okay, now managing project risk and system related change. Okay, for example, an analogy, you have probably bought a can opener. Okay, it looked good on the store shelf, all shiny and glittery with fancy option. So before you bought it, did you grab a can from the shelf and try it out? Probably not. You simply took it home believing it would work as you expected, and for the first few times it did. But then you tried a large size can and started experiencing glitches. Maybe the can opener broke, or the can ended up crooked, or can top was printed and shredded. You are cut up and bleeding. And what all about all those fancy options you don't really use but paid extra for? So what you really need is a simple tool that works right every time for every job, but the designer thought it was pretty cool. Okay, so the majority of the time, information system design problems, information system design problems, a direct result, okay, of the technical person not understanding the non-technical person and vice versa. So hardware issues win out over firmware issues. Perhaps there are too many bells and whistles in the system instead of solid user interface functionality. So implementation of a new system is not just about how to put the hardware and software into place. Okay, you have to address and manage the persuade element, the people, okay, of the triangle, and make sure that it is synchronized with the hardware and software. So you have to convince users that the system is going to improve their work and world, and that the new will be better than the old. Okay, if people are going to lose their job because of the new system, or if they are going to experience a significant difference in responsibilities, you must be clear in communicating with them. Okay. Okay, implementation and change management involve implementation, user, designer, communication gap. You have to communicate to the people. As a manager, your job is to bridge that gap to help ensure success of the new system. Too little discussion and communication between the technical person and the non-technical person will be apparent through the design flaws and a poorly implemented project. Understand where both sides are coming from, and you will do a better job of getting them to work together. You can never have too much communication also. Okay, next, controlling risk factor. The more complex, the more the risk. That's easy to understand, okay, but harder to manage. Risks associated with the project should be clearly outlined and discussed. So the three major risks are project size, project structure, and experience with technology. As Loudon and Loudon point out, the bigger the project, the bigger the headaches. So it's pretty evident that managing 2 or 3 people working on a small system development project is easier than managing 20 people working on a huge project that will envelop the entire organization. So the more the structured the project, the more people will understand what is expected of them. The more people know, understand, and are familiar with the hardware and software, the easier implementation will be. Okay, that's why the importance of the communication. So selecting the proper people to manage the project, whether they are internal or external to the organization, actually can go a long way to ensuring success with new project. So we have the automated management tools such as the PERT, Gantt chart, okay, that can help you manage complex project. They are extremely beneficial for scheduling event and can track hundreds of details involved. You can purchase project management software, okay, that help you quickly and easily create PERT and Gantt chart and keep them updated as you work through the project. Gantt chart and PERT chart have in the project management software. You can buy it. Okay, next, overcoming user resistance. How will the new system fit into the human element? That's the idea behind ergonomic, getting human and machine to agree and complement each other. Okay, so this what will this new system do for us? The people ask. So that's a very appropriate question, but unfortunately it's often ignored. Everyone seems to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of the implementation process, and they forget to address the organizational impact analysis. So we need to write down what we want the end result to be in terms of the organization. If you do so, you can use this note as the basis for your impact analysis. So the analysis can also be a great communication tool to explain to people how their job will be affected, to explain the changes required, and to help them plan the individual effort required for a successful new system. Okay, even though we are discussing the human element at the end of this chapter, please don't get the impression that you should wait until the end to give it your full attention. In fact, it should be at the top of your list throughout the entire implementation process, so that it is incorporated into every facet of your new system, meaning that you need to think about people from the beginning, okay, not toward the end, okay, like the this chapter is arranged for you. This is the example of Gantt chart, okay, Gantt chart. Okay, this is example of PERT chart. Okay, please take some time to look at the difference of the Gantt chart and PERT chart. Okay, okay, now I think should be the last part. Okay, managing project on a global scale. So imagine how much more difficult an information system project can be when you are dealing with multiple culture, laws, custom and business processes. You must focus much harder on the human aspect of the project scope and involve people in every global unit. If they feel a part of the new system, they are more likely to embrace the changes and work through them. Okay? So, project challenges for global system are complicated by international environment. User info requirement, business processes, work cultures vary from country to country. That's why the reason. So there are ways of convincing users to adopt on a global system. Permit each country unit to develop at least one transnational application first in its home territory and then throughout the rest of the units. And then develop transnational centers of excellence or a single center of excellence to perform business and system analysis, design and testing. Okay, now we are finished now. Okay, so I would like to wrap up. Often it's not been the features of a new system itself that causes implementation problem, but rather the lack of proper management of the process. By understanding and managing the challenges of user involvement, user influence, management support and commitment, level of complexity and risk, and the quality of project management, actually you can help make implementation a success. Okay, that's all for this time. Okay, for this topic, and see you in our next class. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye.